It was about 5 years ago when a friend said to me, "Everything is hard." We were maybe a month into lockdown at that point. This Easter service, was entirely online. When we were permitted to leave the house for essential services, we stayed 6 feet apart from one another. The legacy of that separation is still written on the floors of certain supermarkets and pharmacies. Those of us who had children or who were teachers or both endured the cruel and unusual punishment that was school on a laptop. And the news was full of horrors. It was a draining time. Everything is hard. And in the 5 years since then, I'm not sure that things have really gotten a whole lot easier. We've had 2 brutal election cycles. There's awful ecological news, so much mistrust in our society and in the world. It is easy to feel worn down and low on hope. It's easy to feel like everything's hard. Now, here's the good news. 2 bits of good news, at least. The first is the sense that everything is hard, that we're kind of out of steam, that maybe even why even bother trying? Because what does it matter anyway? This is not new. This is something that humanity has wrestled with across history. For the monastics, this is what they called the noonday demon. It was actually this force that they had to struggle with, this sense that your life is inadequate and unworthy of your full efforts. But maybe you'll finally be happy if you just got married to somebody else, or lived in a different city, or had a different job, or who knows what. You may notice the resemblance between the noonday demon and the midlife crisis. The other piece of good news is there are strategies that work for responding to the noonday demon. The contemporary researcher Corey Keyes calls the noonday demon languishing. And he distinguishes languishing from depression. Depression is a formal diagnosis. It has certain markers. And while there's overlap between languishing and depression, languishing is something we can all experience. It is this wind out of your sails, overwhelm, checked outedness. I just read a poignant article about people celebrating when their friends cancel plans on them. Because, guess what? What a relief. I don't have to go out and be with people. I can just stay home with Netflix and beer and muffins. I never have to go out again. And in some respect, that sounds tempting, but I think we know that this is not an awesome way of living your life. It's a languishing way. It is like the disciples locked in the room after the crucifixion, because what is outside is just too much. Keyes suggests that there are 5 antidotes to languishing, to the noonday demon. And I want to share them with you this morning, both because they were really helpful for me when I heard about them. A lot of them are commonsensical, but not all of us have access to common sense all the time. So it's okay to be reminded of commonsensical stuff. And I wanted to share them with you as well, because when I heard his list of antidotes to languishing, to the noonday demon, I was struck by how much they sound like resurrection, how much they sound like new life. So 5 of them. First, go learn stuff. Learning is an antidote to languishing. If you came in here via the courtyard or later on after the service, if you go out there to hunt for Easter eggs and to pet a reasonably friendly animal, you may notice that the fountain is operating. There's water squirting out of there. And this is an Easter miracle. It's the first time in years that the fountain has been operative. I don't know when the water last moved in there. That's because a group of parishioners and I have been fighting with that thing for quite some time, trying to figure out how to get the water to once again come out. And several people have seen me out in the courtyard with my screwdrivers yelling at the pump and have said to me, "Oh, you like doing this, don't you?" And I've said, actually, yes, I do. I like doing this sort of work because unlike a lot of what I do as a pastor, this work has a beginning, a middle, and an end. There's visible progress. A lot of what I do in my work is, what is Jesus' image, is just kind of scattering seeds and hoping that they plant somewhere. When you're fixing a fountain, you get to enjoy visible progress. But I also enjoy doing it because I got to learn how to fix a fountain. I'd never interacted with something like that before, and I got to go to the hardware store and talk to people and watch YouTube videos. There's everything on YouTube. I got to interact with the parishioners who were working with me and brainstorm about ideas. We learned how to fix this problem together. It was energizing to do that. So go learn something. Take dance lessons. Do something that pushes your limits. Change the oil in your car. Speaking of YouTube, there's a video out there that will explain not only how to change the oil in a car, but how to change the oil in your specific car. It's amazing the resources that are out there. Learn another language. You may have your own ideas. Learning is a step out of languishing and into vitality. Second, cultivate warm relationships. Cultivate friendships. My late mother said life is about friends. And actually, I think that's not a bad explanation of what life is about. It certainly seems to be a big part of what Jesus thought life was about. He is constantly seeking out new people and sharing meals with them and telling stories with them and learning and teaching with them. Here's the hard thing. Friends can be a nuisance. They say stupid things at stupid times. They don't show up when they're supposed to, or they do show up when you don't want them to. They load the dishwasher wrong. There's all these things that friends do that test your patience. Friends are so much worse than phones, right? The phone is reliable. It just sits there. It'll never ask you to help it move. Except, in my gig, I end up at a lot of funerals, a lot of memorial services, a lot of celebrations of life. And when someone stands up to remember the person who's died, and when they talk about what was great about the person who died, it's always the theme of friendship that they underline. They may say, Uncle Bill he could be a bit of a pain. He didn't always pick up on social cues so well. He could make pedantic speeches that were a little tiresome, but boy, he showed up. If you needed help setting up for some party, he would be there. If you were having a rough patch and you needed just to be with someone, he would be there. If your child in grade 6 was putting on a concert, he would be there. That friendship, come the end of our lives, that is what we're going to say is important, and what people remembering us will say is important. It is an invitation out of languishing and into vitality. Third, take on a spiritual practice or deepen a spiritual practice. You are right now engaging in one of the antidotes to languishing. The data on this are in no way ambiguous. Study after study says that showing up in church or another religious community, engaging in this practice with other people, you'll live longer, you'll be healthier, you'll be happier, you'll be less likely to be depressed, you're going to have more meaning in your life. If this were a drug, we would be selling it for a fortune, right? And here's the thing, I want to insist on this. What we're doing here in church isn't self-help. This is not a self-help practice. This is not how to win friends and influence people. This is not the secret. I want to suggest, and this is maybe a bit of a contradiction, that church is helpful to you precisely because it's not self-help. What we do in church is to turn outwards. We turn outwards to neighbor and to God. And that is a practice that sets us free, that invites us into vitality. Now, something I get asked fairly often, it's very common when I meet with a newcomer for someone to say to me, I find being in church, I'm coming here for the first time, I'm returning for a while after a ways away. I experience this peace in church that I don't experience elsewhere, but I find it really hard to get motivated to get here on Sundays. Laura was talking about this last week with exercise, right? You shared with us that you find energy in exercising, and you never ever feel like exercising. Some of you may recognize that experience. It's hard to get up, and you're always glad when you're on the walk, but deciding to start the walk is difficult. And I recognize that as well. Deciding to get to church is difficult. And I thought to myself, like, how do you game this? If you want a spiritual practice to be a more regular part of your life, how do you decide you want to be at church on a regular basis? And I thought about my own experience and realized the reason that I am in church every week is I've structured my life so that I have to be here. There's an expectation. There is a job. It's my duty to be here. And so I invite you, if you like, to make that shift as well in your head. In your calendar, you can make a recurring event and decide for yourself, you know what, I have to be in church every week, or whatever spiritual practice you choose to take on, rather than getting up every morning and saying, am I going to exercise today, or am I going to go to church today? Make one decision. And if the research is right, and if Corey Keyes is right, you'll be glad that you did so. Fourth, take on meaningful practices. Do things that matter in your community. There are lots of opportunities to engage with our neighborhood and to make a difference. I don't know about you, but I know a lot of folks are feeling some despair in this moment, feeling lost in this moment, feeling hopeless in this moment. Like, I don't know what to do is a common thing that I hear folks say. It is hard to know how to respond to big global events. Most of us can't do a whole lot about tariffs. Most of us cannot do a whole lot about immigration policy. Most of us cannot do a whole lot about plug in any number of other things that you want. You can write your elected representative, and I encourage you to do that. That matters. But where you can actually shape stuff is locally. Where you can actually shape stuff is in your neighborhood. Here at Grace, we have just recently resumed having a sit-down meal once a week for anyone who wants to come. It's on Sunday nights. It'll meet even on this night at 5 p.m. If you'd like to help cook, if you'd like to help serve, you're invited to be part of that. And if you just want to come have a meal, you're invited to be part of that. There's a sack lunch ministry that operates out of here 3 days a week. We give away meals to anyone who needs them. And there are opportunities galore in your neighborhood. Join an emergency preparedness group. Get one of those garbage picker-upper spring-loaded things and pick up garbage in your neighborhood. It's enormously satisfying work. Get to know a neighbor. One of the weirdest and saddest things of our era is how many of us don't know our neighbors. Go do something old-fashioned. Bring a neighbor a pie. And open a relationship. There are things you can do, concrete actions that will lead you into hope and into vitality. And last of all, at least the last one on Corey Keyes' list, you might have your own additions to this of things that'll invite you out of languishing into vitality. And this last one is my favorite. Engage in playfulness. Do playful things in your life. Remember what you knew as a child. Some of you are children, and remember this very vividly. Remember those experiences you had on afternoons where you got deep into play and you got into a flow experience and time just flew by. There are all sorts of things you can do. Playfulness matters. It is an invitation into joy. Maybe earlier this week, gosh, I've lost totally track of time in the midst of Holy Week. Not that long ago, I took our youngest son to track and field over at, well, it was at a track nearby a field. I waited as he jumped over hurdles. There's no way I could do that. And as I waited, I got into conversation with another geriatric dad, another guy in his 50s with a 13-year-old child. And we got chatting about parenting, and he told me a story, I think, about his daughter. He said he was cleaning up the house and cleaning like the couch in Canada and possibly England as well, what we would call a Chesterfield, which is a term I think we should reintroduce. Cleaning up the couch and pulling all the coins and the fluffies and whatever out of there, and he found in the couch a phone. And he looked at it and said to his daughter, I think this is your friend Emma's phone. In the couch. Emma was not there at the moment. And at this point, his daughter came clean. Well, sometimes all my friends are over here at our house or at one of our friends' houses, and we want to go have an adventure. But we're aware that as with many people, perhaps with many of you, we're living in a voluntary surveillance state where there's a feature called Find My Phone, and you can go find out where your spouse is or your child is at any point. And we want to go have an adventure, so we all take our phones, we put them in the couch, and then we go off and have the adventure. And when our parents then look on their phones, they say, oh, good, Emma is at Claire's house. And anyway, this guy was telling me this story with absolute delight, and I was listening with absolute delight. This is a caper worthy of Ocean's 11. Like, what an awesome idea that these kids got to do this and got to experience something that certainly in my own childhood and maybe in yours we took for granted, which is just being able to run amok and our parents not knowing where we were. Like see you at dinner was something that I heard often as a child. I thought, oh, this is amazingly playful. And it occurred to me, because these girls have all put their phones in their couch for the duration of the time they're off on the adventure, they're not on their confounded phones, right? It has this amazing benefit. There's this amazing invitation into playfulness. So go do playful things. You're allowed to put your own phone in the couch if you want to, and go off and explore the world. There's wonderful, playful things awaiting. So 5 possibilities. 5 possibilities for doing battle with the noonday demon, for stepping out of languishing and back into life, back into vitality. This is what God wants for us. St. Irenaeus said, God's glory is the human being fully alive. May you be fully alive. Jesus says much the same thing. I came that you might have life and have it abundantly. May you have abundant life. Go learn something. Oh, I forgot the order here. Let's see if I can remember here. Maybe you can help me. Go learn something. We said meaningful relationships. Take on a spiritual practice. Engage in meaningful acts of service. There, it's back. And engage in playfulness. Go forth and do these things. Go forth from languishing and into light, into life. And as you do, you may find that, like the women, you find the tomb empty and you find Jesus dancing around outside. Happy Easter.